Alright guys, so for the new 1.3 update on Arma Reforger, quick little tutorial on how to operate and man the mortars. This is relatively the same for the US as well as the Russian side. I just chose the US side for this video because it's obviously a little bit easier to read for me personally. So first step, I already have it marked in the map here, but you're going to want to figure out where you're at. Generally a pretty good idea to know where you are in order to get accurate rounds. So I'll briefly kind of go over how to use resection to kind of determine your location super quick. There's plenty of tutorials on YouTube out there how to they go a little bit more in depth than I will today, but just real quick we'll go over it. Alright, so resection is pretty much finding where you are based on a couple reference points that you decide, like landmarks and whatever it may be that's identifiable around your position. So for example, we have the radio tower, right? So we'll take our compass out and put it right in the middle, and if you zoom in, right, I'm using mils for this demonstration, so it'll be the black numbers on the outside of the compass. For the compass, it's super easy to read, at least the US one. If you look at the outside, it's close to 10, and each one of those little marks is an increment of 20. So it's about 1020 mils right now. So we'll go into the map. We will find the signal tower and use B to pull out our protractor. Zoom in so you get nice and accurate. And what you'll want to do is put your protractor right on top of it, and then you zoom out, find your little pencil tool, and then same premise as the compass, degrees is the inside, mils is the outside, and we said it'll around about 1020. So you'll put your marker here, draw it all the way through the center of your protractor. Make sure you get a nice long line. That way you can see where they intersect from. And that'll be your first point. Then you'll go back out, and we'll use the church. So do the same thing, put it in the center, look at your mils. It's about 4610. So you go back to the map, find the church, drag it over, get it nice and centered, right on top. Go to your pen tool, 4610, so 46, this is 20, halfway will be 10. Drag it through the center of the protractor, like so. Right, and this is just using 2 points. For reference, it's a little bit better if you use 3, and obviously the more points that you use, the more precise it'll get, but that's just a basic quick rundown on it. Using resection to find your position on the map. Right, and then obviously you want to mark where you're at. Right, so say, for example, we have right now there's a enemy position at Figari, right? In a real game, you would want to have comms with your team. Either you'll have your forward observer, maybe it's somebody you play with, or just somebody on the team is attacking the point and they need some indirect fire support. So we know that the enemy point is near Figari. Right, as you can see, everybody's crowded around the arsenal, just like a normal game, playing Barbie dress up. But the main point will be this large group of foot soldiers here near the arsenal, as well as the armed helicopter, the gunship. You know, obviously that's an important hit, or important target to hit, sorry. Because that could end up doing a lot of damage later on to your team if you don't take care of it now. So, quickly we'll head back over. Right, so in a real game you would have somebody probably call out that, there's enemy at Figari, and then it would be up to them to kind of give a general grid. So you can get a grid, you can get a town, and then they can kind of walk you over there, or they can put a marker on it in the actual team map or the military markers. Right, so just for today's purpose, we'll go over here and assume that somebody's put a marker down for you. We'll say it's, let's see. Alright, great. So, you got a marker at 050054. Oops. So now you'll want to go to 050054, create a marker, and we'll just do here. Hit here. Right, so that's generally where we're going to aim. Right, so in order to accurately get a direction and distance for that target, you do generally the same thing that you did to find resection. So you'll put your marker right in the middle, and then you'll go and draw a line from very center, or as close to the center as you can get, and then you'll want to draw a line all the way to your target. And make sure, like I said, you get it nice and close. The closer you get it, the more accurate you'll be in the long run. Alright, so this will be the direction that you're going to face the mortar tube. So it'll be 34. This next full tick is 35. 35.2, 35.4, 35.6, and it's just about 35.8. Right? So what you'll do is you'll hop on the mortar, look down your sight, and at the very top you can see where it says mills. You will just rotate it until it matches. So if we're looking for 35.8, for example, past it, so you go back, and you can use your A and D keys or left and right on the controller to gauge that distance. So after you get that, you rotated the tube. What you'll do is you'll go back to the protractor, and then you'll take it and you'll use your west and your north lines right here, and you can line them up with your pin mark. Grab the edge of the protractor. Just like in real life, there's a small plastic border, but you want to get your mark right as close to the corner as you possibly can, right at the start, right there. Right, each one of these is 100 meters. So 1, 2, 3, 400, so on and so forth, down to 1,000 meters right here. Right, and you notice we ran out of protractor. So what you want to do, quick little mark just from there to there, and then just just drag your protractor all the way down. Again, meet it right on that corner. So 1,001, 2, all the way down. Right. So 1,800. So you add the 10 plus the 8, so there's 18, and then 2 zeros because each one of these is 100 meters. And then each one of these little half ticks right here is a extra 10 meters. So 1,810 meters will be about the distance that we're going to be shooting for. So you'll hop back on the tube, and if you look on the right, you can see for high explosive, 4 rings. We'll just keep it simple. That's what we'll use for this tutorial. And then on the right, you can see, 1,800 meters, 1,810. It's going to be around about. The dispersion on a 4-ring HE is a pretty decent size, so you're going to obviously be less accurate with it, but like I said, the closer you are with your calculations, the dispersion, you can kind of account for that, right? So you see next to 1,800 meters, it says 1261 mils, right? So you look on the left and you have the dial where you can change it up and down, and that'll be your elevation for the fire mission. We'll just go with 1261. It's nice and close, and then we'll see where that goes from there. One quick thing with the mortars is when you do fire a round, it is a little easier if you have somebody who is on the sights as well, because then you're able to maintain your rotation as well as your height on the mortar tube, because it does jump around when firing the rounds. So for right now, we'll just go ahead and fire them and see where we go. Right, and usually 3-round fire missions are good. I like using 3-round fire missions to kind of judge on how close or far we are from hitting the target. It's always good to do a check round. You could even do a smoke, if you are worried and there's friendly infantry around. You don't want to necessarily do any fratricide or anything. And that'll be the first impact. Second should third. So as you can see, it kind of walked it up, jumped it in. It probably jumped a couple meters, in some sort of pattern. This is kind of where I was talking about. It's a little easier to have somebody that's on the sights, so you're able to kind of keep it steady. But if you had a forward observer, this is when he would tell you, oh, you just overshot, maybe back it up a little bit. Back on the sight, right? And you want to go, a little closer to the 1,700 meter mark maybe, in order to kind of reel it in a little bit. So what you can do then is kind of just up the mils, right? We're a little closer to 1,700, so we don't want to be right there. Maybe 1,270, we could call it good, and then we'll see where it goes. With these mortars, one thing to keep in mind is a little bit goes a long way. 1 mil, might not seem like a whole lot, but if you're shooting all the way out to 2,900 meters, you could be looking at quite a large gap between where you're trying to hit and where you're actually going to hit. So just important to keep that in mind. All right, we'll send a few more. With the 4 rings, it does kind of up your time of flight, and that's something that you can look into the book, and it will kind of teach you a little bit more. Okay, see, now we're a little closer. Right, as you can see, the dispersion isn't quite as bad, but now we need to shift over to the left. So that's a good distance. We just need to bring it over a little bit, right? And with mortars, it's the indirect fire is all about suppressing the enemy, and anything you do hit is bonus, right? If you were one of these foot soldiers, there's a good chance by now you would have been spread out. You've been walking around, maybe spawning in vehicles. So keep that in mind as well, right? So good distance. We just have to maybe shift it over a little bit, and we'll go 3.575 for example, and we'll just see where that goes. Once again, it's a little easier if you have a forward observer. It's a little nicer to have somebody who's down there. Even if you're solo mortaring and you have a friend who, you can play with, and they can go observe for you and be your FSO or forward observer. See, so right there would be good impact, but the dispersion would be your biggest enemy there, right? So the first hit, right? I'm sure it probably damaged the helicopter, if not knocked some people. Yep. See, so right there, you just knocked a handful of people unconscious, and oh wow, yeah, even knocked some people out of the fight. So, and I'm sure the helicopter itself is also damaged as well, along with this fuel truck, and the helipad itself might not be, but that would be also a good point to, send your infantry guys in if they're, waiting to attack until the mortars get positive impact. But yeah, there you go, guys. Just a quick little rundown on how to use the mortars. Super simple. Just takes practice. Game Master is where I familiarize myself with it. I really recommend you guys check it out. It's a great addition to the game. It's completely changed how we play, especially somebody who has more interest in, indirect fire. Another thing to be cognizant of is, your base supplies, right? If you're posted the mortar pit at a base or one of your fobs, the mortars do cost supplies, and that could, cause your team to have some issues with spawning and all that. So it's important to do supply runs in the meantime, or another thing that we found is helpful is finding one of those supply caches, taking a construction truck down there, and then that also kind of opens up the door for, some unconventional mortar pit placements, and maybe make you a little harder to find in the long run. But yep, thanks for watching, guys, and hopefully this tutorial kind of helped you a little bit, and if it did, just be sure to like and subscribe.